Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our webinar today on manufacturing state of technology. We'll be getting started in a few minutes. If you could either say hello in the chat, that would be wonderful, and where you're calling from, just to make sure the chat is working. Sometimes it doesn't work. And then if you could also go to polev.com/Jim DeVries on your cell phone and just put in there where you're calling from and your job role. That would be wonderful, just to make sure that our poll EV is working. So thank you. I see two people saying hello. Jerry, thank you. And I think your friend Ben is saying hello. I can't change his name, but we might see a lot of Ben Allens in the chat. So Tony, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. We'll be getting started in just a couple minutes. We have a pretty full house, and we welcome you to share your. Hey, Hosni and Mark. We would love to have your questions throughout the webinar in the chat. And you can respond in the chat, or you can respond using the poll EV that's coming out very soon here in the question and answer. So we're about 2 minutes out, and it looks like the chat's working. Thank you very much. Great to see you all. And we'll be getting started again in about a couple minutes. And again, manufacturing state of technology, that's what we're here to talk about. We're excited about this topic. This is a very hot topic, considering that the U.S. is looking to, with the race on AI with China and the world, the U.S. is looking to get faster and faster. So Tim, thank you for joining. And Paul, thanks for joining us. We'll get started in about 30 seconds here. Looks like we have a good contingent of folks. And again, feel free to ask questions in the chat at any given time you would like, and we'll get to them as best we can. With that, we got a full house, looks like. Fantastic. Thank you all for coming. And again, before we get started, please do join Poll EV on your cell phone. Just you can see that in the chat also, and you can kind of test it with your location of where you're at in your job role. With that, we'll get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to EIG 6 in a series of webinars focusing on manufacturing state of technology, focused on fractional CIOs, AI digital transformation, ERP, WMS, CRP, CRM, and any other acronym you got out there, and automation. So how do we get technology to work for us is our focus today. And we're honored to have with us our guest speaker today, Ben Allen from Allen CIO. He founded in 2019 after closing up his other company that he had for about 15, 20 years. So it's great to have him here today. And with us, we have our founders of this webinar series, John Cosgrove of Atlantic Handling Systems, founded in 2005 out of Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Danny Kaplan, SMC Data, founded in 1980, and he's in the great city of New York City. And myself, I'm Jim DeVries, and Enhance International Group, which was founded in 2016, and I'm from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Again, thanks so much for joining us. This is the 6th in a series of webinars on bringing you insights on technology. We started with how to maximize warehouse capacity with Darren Lezak, and then we went into financial investment with Josh Chenany, and then Hosni Adra, who is on the call, which is great, gave us some great insights on digital twins. And then we got into some vision systems with Nile, and then some strategic economic development with Gary Marks. So welcome everyone. We're very excited about this webinar. With that, the deliverables today, the first deliverable is AI integration for end-to-end automation. How do you go from basically a chalkboard to a fully automated environment? Ideas to reduce cost and risk across IT. We have to be looking at that as we build up our infrastructure. Leveraging AI analytics to do more with less. How can we make better decisions, quicker decisions? Number 4, return on investment. Of course, everything has to have a strong return on investment, and we'll show you a roadmap on how you can get there and achieve a total transformation. And then we want to make sure that we cover some case studies that are out there for our partners here, and we'll get into that. With that, I'm going to turn it over to John. John?
Thanks, Jim. Really looking forward to today's discussion based on everything that's happening with AI and the integration of all of these things. Atlantic Handling Systems, we've been supplying, designing, and installing material handling systems for over 40 years. You know, we have a wide variety of offerings that we can help people with as far as integration. And that's what we're going to be speaking about today, is the integration between the ERP, WMS, my systems with AI. And I know that Ben's going to give us some great insight on that. Atlantic Handling is a division of Mayberry Material Handling. We have close to 135 employees between the two companies, making us one of the largest material handling companies in the Northeast.
Danny?
SMC, it was established in 1980, and we represent VAI for the past 25 years. It's it integrated ERP software for manufacturing, distribution, food. It includes warehouse management using AI, and it does warehousing, distribution, dock-to-dock management, carrier, EDI, and real-time information. Client achieved $1 million ROI in a year and a half, and 99.9 inventory accuracy.
My name is Ben Allen. I founded Allen CIO back in 2019. We are fractional chief information officers focused primarily on the manufacturing business. A fractional chief information officer is an individual with significant technology leadership skills. We look for people with more than 20 years of experience. And when we say fractional, it means that you can get the services of an extremely knowledgeable technology leader for a fraction of the cost. Prior to owning Allen CIO, I had a managed services business, outsourced IT. I founded it in 1998. And over the course of the next 20 years, I had a total of 30 employees. We had 88 clients, and we were focused mainly on manufacturing, law enforcement, and nonprofits. The thing that we do over that encompasses most of everything is providing IT strategy and technology oversight and bringing in the right mix of partners to address all the needs of the companies we serve.
Thanks, Ben. And Enhance International Group, we are a group of about 70 partners right now, and it's growing every day. We link strategy to execution and cover people, process, data, and technology. We're like a Swiss Army knife, many say. And today we're focused on, our vision is getting that IT AI facility infrastructure established, of course, and to build and invest and grow your company. And everything that we focus on is practical solutions that drive these 90-day execution plans with high return on investments of 3 to 12 months. With that, we'll get into the first quote here from Klaus Schwab. from the World Economic Forum. It goes back a while, but it's pretty important here. His quote is, "I am convinced of one thing, that in the future, talent, more than capital, will represent the critical factor of production." So that is true today. It'll be true tomorrow. And it really sets the foundation for activating Industry 5.0. Ben, your thoughts?
It's people, process, and technology. And the most important part of that is the people. You can have great systems, but without good processes, it doesn't do anything for you. And good processes, unless they can really help you differentiate yourself from your competition, don't help you either. But you have to build off those to have the right people and show them how to take advantage of those processes and figure out the future vision of the company and be participating members of that vision.
Thanks, Ben. John?
Well, this new industrial revolution that we're on the cusp of, it all depends on how we can implement and integrate all the existing technologies with the new technologies like AI. So on my part, the automation, which I do, which could be anything from conveyor systems to, robotics, we need that technology to help drive and make us more efficient.
Thanks, John. Danny?
In today's reality of supply chain issue and now the new tariff, having good analytic information, it's important to have not to run out of inventory. It creates production disruption and order cancellation.
Thanks, Danny. And that gets us right into the agenda today, kicking off on the challenges of IT and AI, including production warehouse automation. And then we'll get into strategies for IT infrastructure and the cyber security assessment from Ben. And Ben will also be covering AI and application opportunities. Then we'll look at number 4 here is modern production environment best practices. As we bring all these technologies together, what does it look like from an ecosystem perspective? And then we'll get into the case studies. And then finally, we'll close it out with some financial return on investment. And thank you all for your comments in the chat. Keep them up. Really enjoy those comments. Thank you. With that, we're going to get into the challenges, and Ben will take the first one.
I think the statistic is the single most important statistic of the entire presentation, and we're going to go back to it. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. And if you're not familiar with the statistic, it's really about the profit of the company. And the profit of the company, there's 2 levers. The first is, how are we going to reduce cost? We're going to address that in the first section that I lead. But the more important lever is, how do we increase revenue? How do we increase profit? And there's a lot to that when we get into AI and applications. And one small aspect, but an important one, is hyperautomation. John? Yeah,
As far as hyperautomation goes and the operational costs, we see that we can reduce up to 30% of the cost. As you've seen in the recent dock worker strike, one of the big stumbling points, it wasn't money, it was automation. They didn't want to go buy into automation. But for us as a country, we're going to have to continue to improve our automation, a lot like Europe has over the years because of the labor shortages. And I think that we need to educate people that just because we automate doesn't mean that they're going to lose jobs. They're going to be able to find other things to do to make the company more productive and could reduce our costs by up to 30%. Danny?
Integration is a major issue. People who have multiple software modules, when there is an upgrade, there is a broken link, and that's resulting in corrupted data, which can create severe business disruption. So having integrated software is very, very important.
Thanks, Danny. With that, we'll move on to the next slide here on the benefits of IT and artificial intelligence modernization. Ben, kick us off.
Efficiency gains, cost savings, those percentages that you're looking at, 5 years ago, you'd be like, this is ridiculous. They don't make sense. How could you possibly achieve those? But they're achievable with successful companies because of AI and because of applications. And again, we're going to touch on this during our presentation, but it's the people that make those statistics possible. But I want to be able to relate the third section of the presentation that I'm going to lead on how the heck is it that AI can actually provide those types of stats.
John?
Yeah, I see in the chat that Aaron had posted a question that pertains to this. He's curious to hear today if there's been projects rolling out hyperautomation that resulted in increased revenue. We'll show you a little at the end in my case study, but what really comes down to, especially in manufacturing, if you can produce more for less and you can, we can ship it faster and do it with less people, we're going to definitely have increased revenue, and it helps your bottom line. And if you talk about, you see these 30 to 50% reductions in machine downtime, 48% cost saving, cited at the greatest benefit. So we definitely know that AI is going to be a great tool for us to increase productivity and increase revenue. Danny?
Having AI is a new reality now. It's cost saving, production improvement, and accurate information. And people who resist AI is a story like the horse and the carrot and the car. It's a new reality we are facing. We have to move into, and production will increase substantially.
Thanks, Danny. And then from a staffing perspective, I would say, we underestimate the impact of staffing in AI. So this 35% reduction in employees is there's an employee shortage in the US, and we have to do more with less, and we have to bring production costs down in the US. So this is absolutely critical for us moving forward as we modernize and we move from Industry 4.0 to Industry 5.0. With that, we'll move on to the next section. Ben?
Says I can't start my video. I'm going to leave that alone.
Just go ahead and keep
keep
talking. I'll fix it. Go ahead.
Talk about leading off of what Jim just said. How do we make an environment exciting to work at, where people love being part of the success of the company? That definitely is going to be part of our application discussion. But first, I want to talk about the foundation. And the foundation is something that all companies have. These are the services where having support, having your infrastructure secured and backed up, these are all falling underneath the foundation, and the foundation is being supported by an IT person, a group of IT people, a managed service provider that's providing outsourced IT, or a combination of both. And I want to talk initially about what that foundation is. I look at something called the technology pyramid, and the technology pyramid, on the top of it, is focused on the opportunities of AI and applications, but you can't get there unless you have a very solid foundation. And one of the biggest recommendations I have on this section of the presentation is you need to know that your foundation is secure, that you have high productivity, that it is reliable and won't break. And ideally, you want to do this all for the least amount of money possible. The recommendation is an assessment. You can't think that you're secure. You have to know that you're secure. You can't think that you're technology is a good value, you really need someone to know that it's a good value. And as a fractional CIO, we're not coming in to take over services. We're there to use an assessment to identify opportunities that perhaps can be addressed by the managed service provider or the local IT department. But what separates us from consultants is that we'll roll up our sleeves and actually help you implement those changes, because we cannot really focus on the top part until we get that foundation secure, which I have some recommendations. The first one is in this quote by my friend Larry Cachetti with Metalcraft Industries. They are a company that's in Colorado, and the quote epitomizes the fact that as fractional chief information officers, we don't come in for long-term engagements. When we say we sit on the same side of the table as leadership, one of the things we do when we first come into a company is make it clear that we are trying to work ourselves out of a job. What that essentially means is we're trying to find all of the opportunities that provide enough value to substantiate us being part of that business. And with most manufacturing businesses under $100 million, we find a way to pull ourselves out and leave all the right people, processes, and security, perhaps new ones, but typically, how do we make people systems better than they are right now? Let's talk about cost savings. First one is the second bullet. We talk about a company that was charging Metalcraft $30,000 a month. The services were okay. The reliability was lousy. Problems were happening all the time. And there were definitely security issues, particularly because they were trying to become CMMC compliant. That compliance means that they do work for the Department of Defense and have to be held to higher standards that can be audited. They were spending $30,000. We were able to reduce that by $8,000, so that for $22,000, we actually brought two companies to the table, one of which is part of this presentation today. And through the cost savings, we actually increased the services, provided much better reliability, performance increased, we consolidated cloud services. And so reducing money is part of it, but it's the exciting part is how do we make IT better by holding the hands of that local IT group or the managed service provider. The fourth bullet, eliminate unnecessary contracts. This is the craziest thing. We'll come into a company and find out that they are being charged. This company charged them to put software on all the computers. The software wasn't on any computers. To perform regular services, they weren't performing any of those regular services. And Metalcraft had no idea. They didn't know that things weren't being done. And gosh, it kills me, because it's almost like theft when these technology companies who know that their customers don't necessarily know any better, they take advantage of that. But what's wonderful is suddenly we found $18,000 of expenses that were unnecessary that sits kind of on top of that expense reduction we already discussed. So that's really what I want to hone in on expense reduction on this slide, is that typically there is enormous savings. We typically find more than 20% savings when we come into a company, and we leave the company in better state than it was when we first came in. Security posture is our fancy phrase for talking about what are all the services you have in place to provide great security. The picture you see is that ideally you should have a safe door protecting your business. But what we find a lot of times is that you actually have a wooden fence that you can climb over. You can cut a hole through. You can pull the boards down and get through. And I want to make the point with a very almost totally sad story about a manufacturing company that was selling itself for $200 million. They got attacked. They got attacked because they had a firewall that wasn't set up right, and the attackers came through the firewall. They got into the servers and encrypted all the servers so that nothing was accessible. None of their accounting, their ERP, everything that they've built for 25 years was locked up. And the backups that were on site, they also got encrypted because this company didn't know how to set up the backup device correctly. The company was charging this client $18,000 a year to perform offsite backups, but there were no offsite backups. So this company, when presented with a $2 million ransom, was ready to pay the $2 million. But here's the issue. When you pay a threat actor, someone who deploys ransomware, sometimes they take the money and they don't give you your data back because they like to ruin businesses. It's through some crazy, interesting story that we were able to recover. But the point is, in this first part of the presentation, section number 2, it's all about the importance of doing an assessment and how it can pay for itself over and over.
Thanks, Ben. And with that, we'll get into our next section on AI and application opportunities. And to kick that off, we are going to have a polling question. And if the polling is not working, you can just go ahead and enter it into the chat on how much a priority is your company's strategy aligned with artificial intelligence. Is it a top priority? AI is central to your strategy and actively driving transformation. B, a high priority, where you're investing in AI and scaling adoption. Or C, moderate priority, exploring AI but not fully committed yet. Or D, low or no priority, and you really aren't focused on AI at this time. Please do answer in the chat. We'll see if we can get the poll everywhere to work. For some reason, it did not work last time, but please just go ahead and enter in the chat. So I see one for an A. They're on top of it. Another one C. There's no right or wrong answer. There we go. This is filling up the chat. I love it. A, C, A, C, A, C. Beautiful. Thank you so much. We got a B. So a lot of A's, a lot of C's. Looks like about an equal number. The B's are coming in. That's very interesting. So, Ben, what are your thoughts on these responses and what you're seeing?
I would throw out the idea that part of the challenge of AI is that you don't necessarily recognize that you have business challenges that it can solve. And that is what is so necessary to prove to businesses. If they can understand there's challenges, then they can see the potential opportunity that AI can bring to the table.
Nice. Nicely said. John, your thoughts?
Well, what I'm seeing is, I've lived through some technology breakthroughs over the years, and this AI is just faster and coming out quicker than anything I've ever seen. And whether you're an A or a C, you really need to be engaged and know what's going on, because it's going to rapidly it's coming in day by day, more and more. And now that the United States has made a commitment to actually compete in the AI world, more so than we were before, I think that you can't get this off your radar. You have to be prepared to use AI and use it to your advantage, or else you can be left behind.
And Danny, what have you and VAI been seeing out there?
It's a new reality that has to be dealt with. We have a shortage of labor, and China became one of the top in the world using AI and electric automation now. So if we want to compete successfully, AI becoming a new necessity.
Well said, Danny. Yeah. Ignoring that AI is around the bend is not going to, you're not going to last on that. it's interesting when you think about digital 4.0, a lot of folks have not adopted the digitization involved in that. But now AI is coming in, and now you're trying to put AI on top of an infrastructure that had never went through 4.0. And I think that's one of our greatest challenges as we move forward. And that's what this webinar is about, is we got to do the infrastructure. We have to get that completed first, so you can really gain the real benefits of artificial intelligence. With that, I love the comments in there. Thanks so much. We're back to Ben. Ben?
We're revisiting the pyramid, the technology pyramid, and we now get an opportunity to get to the exciting part of the presentation, because quite honestly, the foundation is not that exciting, but it is absolutely necessary to build off of. The exciting part of the manufacturing pivot is that most companies focus on IT as that lower part of the pyramid. The opportunity is to really pivot and focus on the top part, because that's where we can identify ways to be more efficient, make more profit. But my favorite one is make people love to be part of the success through a good adoption of technology best practices. I love the analogy of a forklift. In a manufacturing company, you would never hire a forklift operator and when they walk in the door, give them the keys to the forklift. Yet, this is what I see in most companies. It's not a manufacturing thing. When someone new joins a company, they're handed a laptop and IT says, call us with questions. And when we talk about the AI and application revolution, that's not how you're going to succeed. The first step is really defining a playbook that can allow you to figure out, how do we leverage our technology to be more competitive? But that brings up another issue, which is when you hit that maturity level, you're not there. You're not there until you have all the people rowing the same direction and using that playbook. And when you do, that's when the magic happens.
So Ben, just to comment on that, one of the things that I've always realized is that people make the difference. And, I think all of these things we talk about here are definitely going to help us increase productivity and so on and so forth. But I think we have to get people to understand that they're still going to be a viable part of these solutions.
Thank you, John.
Excellent point.
It drives this slide home. Korn Ferry, a couple of weeks ago, released the 5 leadership trends. And 3 of those 5 leadership trends relate to technology and how to leverage that technology and equip leaders with the skills necessary to drive the essential change that has to happen in these environments. And I wish we had a couple hours to talk about specific ways that AI applications drive change, the tools that people are using, how leaders are leveraging various aspects of generative AI to do 20 hours of work in 1 hour. But because we have a short time frame, I want to focus on the most important message I can share about AI. AI is transformational if you get the people in your company behind it. The technique that we've been working on over the last 5 years at Allen CIO is having fractional CIOs be technology quarterbacks with a group of people we refer to as the Dream Team. The Dream Team are members of your company. They're members that are passionate about driving technology change, but they don't need technology experience. They just need the approval of their supervisor to make sure that they can not only participate in the team, but also bring ideas back into their department. What we do with the Dream Team, well, one thing is we meet every 2 weeks. And it's during those meetings that our job is to open up the eyes of these people as to opportunities with applications and artificial intelligence. Opportunities that are here are the systems and the procedures and the knowledge that you need to have to leverage this to start driving change in your organization. By the way, when we do this, people get excited. It gives them a reason to want to come to work in the morning. But what we love is during those eye-opening opportunities, they a lot of times identify the business challenges that they didn't realize they had. And when they do and want to execute something in their department, the role of a fractional CIO is to work alongside that individual. And as the dream team matures, other members of the dream team can help ensure that that project is successful. And again, a successful project, it's a project where you've identified return on investment, you've put together a budget, you get approval, and you make sure that people use it, and you can look back and go, did we achieve the ROI we expected? This is the formula to drive AI and application change. And anything that happens that can address that top part of the pyramid, a lot of times leans on the dream team.
Beautifully said. This is certainly a best practice that everyone should be doing. By the way, we did receive a good question in the chat here. Given the volatility in the supply chain market due to the current tariff threats, how can businesses manage through this? And how can AI and ML tools assist in predicting the volatility and balancing against it? Ben, your thoughts?
So my thought is that that is an excellent question to pose into a dream team so that collectively we can figure out what the answer is.
Thanks. John, your thoughts?
Yeah, with tariffs, of course, the market is so volatile. Of course, the big fear is it's going to be inflationary because people have to charge more. So if you can use the tools of AI and automation, and if you're, like Danny's ERP and his WMS, going to make you more efficient, and you can see some of those statistics we showed you in the beginning, 30% savings, you may be able to produce more and sell more, which may be able to help you to hold that down. But as far as these tariffs go, I think no one knows where we're headed, but hopefully it'll be solved soon. But there is, in my industry, the last time we had a lot of tariffs, we have steel surcharges, and everything I do has something to do with steel. So there's a lot of volatility in the market that way. But hopefully we can get through that.
Danny, your thoughts?
With the new tariff now, we're going to have a rough ride. According to the New York Times article yesterday, Mexico and Canada produce a lot of parts for the car manufacturing. And that will create car shortages, part shortages. The cost of car will go $1,000 to $9,000 up, and production disruption. So having AI and knowing what your net inventory is after you allocate for production or future order become essential to avoid business disruption.
Thanks, Danny. And I'll just add, to me, it all comes down to data. No, as Danny and John and Ben emphasize, it comes down to having the data to understand. Do you understand your current operating environment? Do you know where your parts are coming from? Have you mapped your value streams upstream to your suppliers and downstream to your customers? Providing greater visibility into that will be one of the most important things you do that we teach in supply chain risk management. Also, something to consider is we do modeling of scenarios of what if a tariff happened. There are tools like SCM Blocks, another partner of EIG, that focuses on addressing that particular issue. And we have other webinars focused on that. But to me, it comes down to people, process, data, technology. We have to get aligned. So with that, I will move on. Excellent question, Irene. Thank you. Ben.
The point is that this slide, I believe, is exciting to put at this part of the deck. If I had done it earlier, it would have shamed you and concerned you. I put it after the Dream Team slide because the Dream Teams are a technique to ensure the digital transformation initiatives succeed because of aligned strategies and sufficient collaboration.
Thanks, Ben. John, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it goes for anything with system is the integration. If the best plans of mice and men, but you need to implement them, and you need a quarterback or an architect out to steer everyone in the right direction. And in our industry, that's what's happening. Like what Ben does, that's what he does as a transformational CIO. He's the guy who was the quarterback, but you have in just in this seminar between myself and Danny, you're talking about your ERP, your WMS, and I'm doing the integration on the automation. So definitely need someone to hold it all together, because it could be a great plan, but if you don't implement it, you could be in trouble.
Danny?
There is expression says the road to hell is paved with good intention. People buy standalone warehouse software management, try to integrate it with the old ERP system, create integration issue. When one of the module gets upgraded and the other one does not get upgraded. And then AT&T blame Verizon, Verizon T-Mobile, and T-Mobile blame God. Integration is a major issue, having one consolidated database.
Excellent point, Danny. With that, we'll move on to back to Ben here.
We haven't talked about analytics. This is the slide where we do. Many of you have probably heard the phrase, data is the new oil. I have heard a better phrase, data is like water. And the reason data is like water is that it gives life. Without it, you can perish. Businesses can die without the right data. And you expect at any time to be able to open up the faucet and have clean water come out of that faucet. The way that this all happens is predicated on having the right systems. What Danny just shared is if you have a bunch of disparate systems, you need to connect them together, but you also need to look at the opportunities for having better systems. And when you do, you'll get these kind of analytics that the goal is that analytics is supposed to help you make better business decisions. And if you don't have good data, you're not going to be able to make good business decisions.
Excellent. John?
Yeah, I've been around long enough. There was an expression, garbage in, garbage out. And it's definitely, if you have great data, you can do great things. And that's what we need all the way downstream.
Danny?
Having accurate analytic information is essential. What to buy, when to buy, how much to buy, and what vendor to buy from. The cheapest vendor is not the best vendor if they have late delivery, which create production disruption, order cancellation, and business issues. So analytics is a major issue across the entire system.
Thanks, Danny. With that, we'll move on to putting it all together into this modern production environment. And we'll go back to Ben to kick us off. Ben?
This is the time where I want to make a point about business continuity. This is a foundation, bottom of the pyramid point, but a lot of companies have their servers protected. Ideally, they're backed up. But when it comes to business continuity, you have to look at every single device in your environment. Manufacturers know that they can their big device that's responsible for making their parts. If it breaks, they've got a plan. But they don't necessarily protect the programming computer that's supposed to feed that data. And if the programming computer goes down and it can cost you $10,000 a day, and you don't have a business continuity plan, you can see that from a risk avoidance standpoint, you need to take the steps to look at everything in your environment when you're trying to make sure that whatever bad happens, you've got a plan for that.
Nice, Ben. Thanks. And with that, I just wanted to define what industry the revolution or industry 4.0 is. You know, we have all these different systems in our facilities and they're all connected, and we're trying to get to connecting everything from the floor into the ERPs, the MRPs, and every other acronym that you have, MES, GATAs, into centralized data marks, into you're able to make good, solid decisions. John?
Yeah, this is what I talked about before, the architecture of everything has to come together. And, that's where AI can help WMS, as far as automation, a lot of our automation we've had for years, but we without great data, we could produce more, we could do more. But now I think with the onset of AI and better information and data, it's going to help us to be able to be more productive and, in manufacturing, make more products, and distribution, ship more products and ship them correct and on time. So just to give you a little background on, automation, of course, there's a lot of robotics that is now around. In distribution, we're now using a lot of robotic palletizers, which have been around for years, to be honest with you. But the technology, like anything, is now becoming more affordable for people. So we use a lot of conveyor systems, vertical lifts. We have a product. A lot of automation now has turned to the European market. Europe for years has had a labor crisis. People get, 2 months vacation. So they've automated over the years. So we use a lot of vertical lifts for small part storage. We do automatic storage and retrieval now, which, we can use a crane system, or there's all different types of systems we can use to do that. And if you see here on the right, you're looking at that's a picture of what we call a pick module that has a dry width conveyor with flow racks. This is very, very advantageous in now the e-commerce industry, because we went from shipping pallets years ago to cases to now we ship a lot of eaches. So that breaks it down more and more to where we have to have pick pack operations. And, we need to have the integration of our controls, which tells the conveyors what to do, the sortation of it. We can weigh packages on the fly, do whatever we need. But I need to have that come from Danny's WMS system. He would feed me all of those things. So that's all part of the integration of it.
Thanks, John. So I'll just kick it off. A lot of folks, when you talk about an ERP, WMS, they're talking only about those two systems, maybe an MRP system. I think what's unique about VAI, as we set up Danny, is how well VAI integrates with your warehouse control systems from John and the TMS systems that are out there in the market. Danny?
Integration is a major issue, and VAI system has a company represent for 25 years, has all the components put together: warehouse management, analytic, forecasting, purchasing, retail, and warehouse management. It's all the piece. It's one-stop shopping, so you don't have to have multiple vendor and multiple support addressing the issue. This is a 30,000-foot view of the VAI system. It has distribution, it has manufacturing, warehouse management, CRM, e-commerce, analytic, and mobile. Analytic is essential today to know with AR what you have in inventory after you allocate for production or future orders. I compare it to a checkbook in a bank account. It doesn't matter how much you have in the bank, it will count how many checks did not clear the account. If in the M&A world, having a distributor by manufacturer, a manufacturer by distributor, and then they end up with multiple systems. Case study, a worldwide manufacturer bought distributors. Had 3 systems and inventory dropped to 90%. Finished good and raw material. That's a very was very bad news. Today's at 99 points in accuracy. 2 ROI stories, one $1 million in 1 year, and one ROI is $1 million in 2.5 years. And inventory accuracy is 99.99 accuracy.
So you can see how important it is to have a strong integrated system, ERP. And as we move into when we say approaching Industry 5.0 and putting on the digital twin on top of that, such as Creatisoft's system of taking and extracting all this data in real time and then optimizing your S&OP process constantly and then feeding it back into the system so that you are providing instructions for the folks on the floor. And so when you want to train a forklift operator actually of what to do in the plant, you're going to hand them a tablet, and this is going to be telling the forklift operator exactly what to do, where to go in real time. And if something is moved to their incorrect position, it will automatically adjust for that so that you can optimize your production, optimize your inventory. And one of the greatest benefits is reduce the number of touches. So if you think about when you come in from all the raw materials come in until the finished product goes out, how do you minimize the number of touches that you make with each and every ingredient all the way through that finished goods process? So that's, through using a digital twin, this is a fantastic way of getting there. So what is the digital twin from Creatisoft and how long does it take to implement? You're talking in the order of three months, maybe. For the first 6 weeks is discovery phase. Then we get into 2 to 4 weeks of building the model, then validating that in real time. So now you're taking real-time data and you're analyzing it and optimizing it. And then you're able to do the scenario planning. So even going back to tariffs and so forth, if you find that the materials aren't coming in, you're able to see that ahead of time and you're able to adjust production in real time. So the ROI of this offering is in the order of 3 months, 3 to 6 months. With that, we'll switch back over to Ben.
Really what you're seeing here is just a summary of what we looked at together. I think the most important part is that when we talk about the application and analytics assessment, what that really is involves meeting with each of the departments, and ideally it's in a dream team type setting where they've been exposed to what's possible, because when that exposure happens, that's how we can really assess inside that department the possibilities. But make no mistake about it. When you talk about any department such as marketing, the opportunities with AI, whether it's generative AI to help produce marketing tools, taking advantage of agentic AI to automate work that they had to do manually before, there are huge opportunities. And so it's our recipe for success when you combine the dream team and the opportunities that exist with AI on how you're going to drive change throughout the organization.
Thanks, Ben. John?
Okay, automation implementation, it's what we've talked about the whole time. we need to integrate between the systems integration between AI, the ERP, WMS, and bring it all together and get it down to the shop floor where when I get it, my equipment will be more productive and more efficient, the automation. And, there's many variables that we can do, everything from, from weights on product and so on and so forth for shipment. So there's a lot of different things we can do if we get the right information and we get it in a timely manner.
Danny?
Having integrated system between the ERP and the warehouse and the other function is essential. Because if you don't have integration and have corrupted data, it affect the warehouse management, it affects the IT infrastructure, it affects the whole company. It's essential to have single database for the entire operation.
Thanks, Danny.
Mm.
And Danny, there's a question in here from Irene on the ERP system. Where does the QA, QC, and product lot release system lie? In which module does that lie in? In VAI system?
The VAI system has MRP, capacity planning. It's a full manufacturing system. That interfaces into the distribution system and the analytics system. So you have complete view, 360 degrees. What's available in inventory? What did you allocate for production? What is coming in? Who to buy from? How much to buy? Based on delivery accuracy. And that all ties together with AI that tells you analytic from the top to the bottom across the board.
And from a quality assurance and quality control perspective, all the certificates that need to be tracked, does that also reside in VAI?
It's integrated. Those are all integrated pieces. The issue starts when you have multiple modules, and then when one of the modules has an upgrade, they create disruption, the domino effect of collapsing. That's why
Okay.
having the warehouse and the ERP and the back office and the digital twin, it's all connected. Otherwise, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer Irene's question, I believe that VAI does have a quality assurance and quality control module within it to track lots and make sure there's a release. So yes, it has that, Irene. With that, I'll just move on. Just taking this at the 50,000 foot level of if you're building a new facility, or you have a current facility, our services of Enhanced International Group with our different partners that focus includes a site assessment. We have the digital twin layout where we can model your system very quickly within those 4 to 6 weeks. John can come in with site automation specs. You have that integrated ERP with Danny, and then we have Harvest with the AI vision system, and then tooling in consumption materials visibility. And then we do strategic modeling, such as the tariffs that was mentioned earlier. So we have a full suite of of services and capabilities, software as a service, as well as consulting. And we have a group that focuses on change management in your organization. And so just as an overall view, we do always like to see the crawl, walk, run approach. We stabilize infrastructure, what Ben talked about today. We deploy ERPs and core modules, and then we move into installing AI. So just want to give you a high level overview on how everything is integrated. from this, we're going to go into the case studies, and John is going to kick us off. John?
Yeah, we talked about before automation and what it can do. One of the things that when we automate, there's different things that we can do to do that. So this particular customer, Shiseido Cosmetics, they were shipping cases to mass merchandisers, and they had to put a label strategically in a target so that it could be read by a photo eye when the mass merchandiser receives it at the warehouse. So what happened, they were hiring 30 temporary employees every August and keeping them through October. And they were taking, and they could do about 600 cases a day, and they would physically put these labels on. So what we did is we came in and we put in a conveyor system. And what we did for them was we put in an automatic labeling system where now we can do 5,000 cases a day. So this is a great example of what happens when you automate, and you can save a lot of money. And they saved a lot of money, and it actually made it it was Shiseido's project of the year. And David Brandis, the executive director here, he was awarded a trip to Japan, actually. But when you see this, what we did was we have an automatic case sealer that would put the labels on. Then we would send it down a conveyor, and we would sort it by store. We would read the barcode, and if the barcode wasn't in the right place or we couldn't read it, we'd send it down a reject lane, and then a supervisor would redo it. So it was a very, very cost-effective and saved a lot of money. And just a little bit of what can be done with automation. Now, if you can add AI to this, we could really, really have a great result.
Thanks, John. Ben?
Probi is a probiotics company. They're based in Sweden, traded worldwide. The thing that I think you really want to hear today is, in addition to all this technology, there are certain things that technology you don't need it for. And the second bullet here about the parts inventory and disarray, before you can just jump into a software system, there are certain aspects of your environment that you need to bring in the right people, and you don't need technology. You need to work with the people on the processes before you can really introduce technology. So that's my fun example of a time when you don't need technology to fix a problem. But the truth of the matter is, you would be hard pressed to find a business challenge in this age that can't be addressed with technology. And if you think you do have a business challenge that can't be addressed with technology, consider talking to a fractional chief information officer, where I would say our overarching goal with Probi and every client, it's to create raving fans. That's what we do at the end of the day.
This is a typical case of an M&A story. And in today's reality, a worldwide manufacturer of plastic, bought distributors to lower the cost. They end up with 3 ERP systems. They do not support each other. Inventory accuracy dropped to 90% on finished good and raw material, which is very bad news. Today they have single database software, ERP software. All the location went live without disruption and achieved 99.95 accuracy. That's the best example of M&A world, that the user does not have to hopscotch from one system to another system to find information. And in today's reality of tariff and inventory shortages, it's essential to have real-time information.
Excellent story. All these case studies are fantastic stories of how moving into Industry 4.0 and beyond. With that, we're going to close it out with some financial impacts, and we're going to kick it off with John. John?
Yeah, one of the things that automation can do is, as we talked before, we can go up to 30%, enable more in efficiency. reduce labor costs, increase productivity, and accuracy, which, accuracy is a big thing within manufacturing and within distribution, and the higher throughput and space utilization, which is something that we at Atlantic Equipment pride ourselves on, that we've been doing this long enough that we can help you do more with less, which I think is a very, very pertinent thing today. So I'll turn it over. I guess, Danny, you're up next.
ERP system, integrated ERP system result in financial gains, better inventory control, being able to track the material, lower the cost, seamless integration. It's a huge issue, seamless integration. If you have a broken link between the warehouse and the ERP, your inventory is out of control. And the next thing is multiple location. One warehouse can be overstocked, the other warehouse can be understocked. If we don't have one system, the understock will buy more inventory while the overstock will have excess inventory. So have a complete visibility of the whole operation. It's essentially in today's reality.
Very compelling, Danny. Thank you. Ben?
The way we enter a lot of companies really is from a cost reduction standpoint. And our guarantee that says we'll find 20% or more of cost reduction on the technology side simply means that if you bring us in and we can help you find 15% cost reduction, our services are free. You don't need to engage us any longer. And that is our thank you to you for letting us come in. The reason we're valuable is the application opportunities at the bottom of this. It's that top of the pyramid. It's the people, process, and technology. That's where AI has the potential to blow the roof off your company. And the favorite way is because it is going to get your staff to be so excited to be part of driving change within your organization.
Thanks, Ben. And with that, we'll wrap up the webinar. Our deliverables today. We hope you gained insights today. And please do reach out to each of these gentlemen, your questions, and if there's other questions you have, please do follow up. And we appreciate all the chats. It was very, very, very good to see an active chat there, and fantastic questions and comments. Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to just let you know that we are going to have one more webinar in this series, at least, maybe a few more, focusing on artificial intelligence and driving the GDP growth perspective. And we have 2 or 3 other ideas for webinars coming up. So look out for that next webinar coming soon. Thank you. And as we close out, John, closing comments.
Yeah, Jim, I just want to thank the panel. I know we worked really hard on this presentation. I want to thank Ben, Danny, and yourself. It's great to be part of this team, and just let everyone know that we're available if you need us, and we can help you to hopefully achieve your goals and integrate AI, WMS, ERP, and automation.
Thanks. Thanks, John. Danny?
I would like to thank the team, all the team members working so hard, putting it together, and the audience for attending the seminar, and all the positive feedback we got in chat from you.
Ben?
I want to thank all of the people who joined the call. A lot of you who are strategic referral partners that I work with. And the only way that our company is good is because the fact that we can leverage your knowledge and skills, and our success is going to continue to be based on bringing you all to the clients we serve together. So I'm very excited about the future.
Thanks, Ben. And I want to thank Ben, Danny, and John. Before I close out, we spent a lot of time putting this together. I think it came out pretty good. But most of all, I want to thank all the registrants and the attendees today. who made this a very lively panel discussion, very interesting. And we look forward to seeing you at future webinars. And most importantly, we hope that there's more believers out there that American can execute and can start launching all the technology that we develop here to build a more robust U.S. economy with automated manufacturing. Thanks so much.